What is DNS? Domain name system. And the port number is 53. DNS itself a protocol. And there is a DNS server which provide a service. Yes, any DNS provide, any server provide a service. But what service it is, and we'll see. Okay. In the DNS server contains records of devices or services which map off the device name in a domain to the IP address. Or you can say DNS server contains records of a host or a device or a servers, okay, under a domain. Under a domain, the name and IP address mapping. Maps name to IP address. DNS server maps name to IP address, or you can say resolve name to IP address. Here in this one, once again, all communications with the IP address only. I want to communicate to my remote system. Maybe I want to open w3schools.com, java.point.com, gmail.com, okay, google.com, facebook.com. So I'm communicating with the names only, right? But actually we have to communicate with an IP address only. But you don't know the IP address of facebook.com, youtube.com, okay, w3schools.com. You don't know IP address, but still we can able to communicate. How we can able to communicate? So that's the point here we are going to discuss. This is simple words, guys. You open a web page and you put it something like a youtube.com. So http www.youtube.com. Okay, so this is typed it. The HTTPS represents protocol. This is a protocol, and this is our URL. Totally, it is called URL. Okay, HTTPS is our protocol, and youtube.com is our domain, and www is a device or a host or a server name in the youtube.com domain. Okay, so this is total. So what will happen when you type it? So if you check it in your system configuration, okay, IP config/all. See, there is a DNS server address. There is a DNS server address. DNS server address. So in the network, I don't have an IP address of www.youtube.com. I don't have an IP address of this www.youtube.com. So what will happen? It send a request to the DNS server. It send a request to the DNS server. I want an IP address of.
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Sorry, sir, I'm late. I'm having my breakfast. So can you please
Okay.
again start a little bit, like 2-3 minutes ago?
No. I can next. Okay. I didn't done much. Okay. So only thing is, so what is a DNS domain name system? And the protocol port number is 53. I'm talking about a DNS server first. That is, it contains a records of a device or a server or a host or a certain service. Okay. What is the record for? It is record under a domain, the host name and their IP address or service name. The related information records are there in the DNS server. Exactly simply form you can want to say DNS server maps name to IP address. Okay, it maps name to IP address. DNS server returns an IP address of a host in a domain. Okay, how it works? That's what I'm explaining here. It is so this is www.youtube.com. I type www.youtube.com. Okay. If you see this URL, www.youtube.com. Okay. So I am taking this example, google.com. Anything you can take as an example. Okay. So as I said, all communications by IP address only. If you know the youtube.com IP address, you can communicate it to youtube.com server. www.youtube.com server, you can able to communicate. But you do not have IP address, right? You don't have an IP address of youtube.com. So what you will do? So in your system, it is already configured. There is a DNS server address. If you see, there is a DNS server address. It means this is my server. That is my server IP address. So request go to the server. Request go to DNS server. Request go to the DNS server and asking about I want an IP address of www.youtube.com. So this server take your request and it will give a reply to you IP address of youtube.com. So this is an IP address of youtube.com. You will get it from the DNS server. Now you know the IP address. Now you know the IP address. Then you can able to communicate to the youtube.com with an IP address. Yeah, IP address. This is a www.youtube.com. Okay. So
Sir,
you
it
will
is a
see
private IP or public IP?
youtube.com
Yes, sir.
public IP.
Is
Public IP. You want to know what is the youtube.com IP address? You can also get it from here. Ping www.youtube.com. So when I'm trying to ping with this name, but actually have to ping with an IP address. So we don't know the IP address of www.youtube.com. What happened? Our system send a request to the DNS server and the DNS server returns to the system with an IP address of www.youtube.com. Look at here. First one is fine. This is an IP address. This is IP address of youtube.com. First you got the IP address, then we'll try to communicate with the www.google.com, youtube.com with an IP address, and we are getting with a public IP addresses only.
sir, how they are
Okay.
making their IP public?
How you know this is a public or not? Is it that question?
No, how they are making their IP public?
How they are making public this? They have to purchase public IP addresses to communicate in the public. So they have to
That we
purchase
call
from.
domain. That we call domain.
Yeah, like that. You have to, when you purchase a domain name and the domain names and under domain, different hosts are there. Okay, actual story it comes like this. It is, for example, you take Google.
Sir,
It's a
when we
domain.
purchase domain name, so name is linked with an IP address. So when we purchase it, we get IP in behalf of that.
Yeah, we have to map to a host with an IP address. So, for example, you take google.com. For example, we can take google.com also. This is, I am telling google.com. I didn't put anything front, but there is a different servers are there. For example, www server is there. Okay, access. It is a name is comes like this www.google.com. Okay, and there is a gmail.com is also there now. So it is like this mail.google.com. Actually, it is pointing to the www.gmail.com. You type like this and it diverted into mail.google.com. Yeah, like this is also we can do that. Did I open anything? See, can you see? mail.google.com. Okay. What is this? docs.google.com. This is another server. Okay. Another server. What is it? docs.google.com. And for example, I have a classroom.google.com. Google Meet is also there now. So there is a lot of things are there, but I'm telling only few. Meet.google.com. Under google.com is a actual domain name is google.com. Under google.com, there is a server called www.google.com. For example, this is having an IP address. So what is an IP address of it? www.google.com. So this is IP address. Let it finish, otherwise it won't copy. No, not this one. Why it is not done? Maybe inside, internally, it has a private IP address, but when it is communicating outside, so in their routers, they will configure a public IP address to communicate outside. So they have to purchase a public IP. So in the google.com DNS, so what they will do it, they will put it like this under google.com. So this is a www host and this is the IP address like that. For a mail also like that, mail and some IP address. Okay. And for a DOCS, another server, that IP address, meet, another IP address, classroom, another IP address. Okay, these are all different servers. All are in the same domain, but with a different server name. DOCS, this is a DOCS. This server name is DOCS. Okay, this server name is maybe like a, it's like a classroom. Okay, this is Meet. For example, just for example, original name we don't know. Okay, think like this. Even it is showing here YouTube. It is under google.com, but openly it is showing YouTube like this. But the inside google.com, the YouTube related records are there. But outside communication is that's alias names are there. Aliasing names are there. Original name is different. Outside when it is communicating with the different names it is projecting. Okay. So these are the servers having different IP address and all IP addresses. And when it is communicating to the public, so it is a public IP address only. Okay. And the organization has to purchase the public IP addresses only compulsory to communicate outside. And all are in the DNS. That part, that's a separate part. Okay. That's I said now. DNS server contains records of a device or a service or a server or any name you can put it. Okay, so it is contains records, www server record, mail server record, DOCS server record, okay, classroom record. So this server's IP addresses as a record inside a DNS server. Okay, that is one point. And another one. Another point of DNS server is, that is local DNS server. So DNS server returns an IP address of host. So here is an example. When you open a browser and put a www.google.com, so you don't have an IP address of www.google.com. So what it will do, our PC sends a request to the DNS server, ask for IP address of www.google.com. The DNS server returns the IP address of google.com. Now we can reach google.com with a server IP address. The simple process, what I am trying to say, it is first one is a simple single-handed part. The remaining explanation I will do it. So don't worry why I should return this google.com, docs.google.com. But understand this simple kind of concept, guys. Thing is, you put as something facebook.com, www.facebook.com, www.youtube, docs.google.com, meet.google.com, studio.youtube.com, www.youtube.com, okay, learn.microsoft.com, okay. So when you are putting a URL, in the part of URL, there is a host name is also there. It is called a FQDN. Okay, FUDN means it contains a host name and the domain name. Okay, so don't go to that much. As a simple understand, when you are trying to communicate with a name, but we cannot communicate with a name, we need an IP address of that remote device. We need an IP address of that device or a host or a server. We need an IP address, but you do not have an IP address. So what will happen? Our system send a request to the DNS server. Our system send a request to the DNS server. And DNS server returns the IP address of that particular server or a host or a device IP address based on that name. So it will return that IP address. Now you got an IP address. Once you got an IP address of this device, so then you can able to communicate with an IP address. So this is a simple process. Okay, so single step process, guys. There is a story. I will explain the story. Actual story is there, but try to understand in a simple manner. Okay. For example, I use docs.google.com, teams.microsoft.com. All are names only. Okay, all are names only. Other maybe I'm sending a mail to the 70s.com. I want to send a mail, so Latif Shaik at gmail.com. And I'm sending like that is a gmail.com is a my remote server. So first of all, I should know the IP address of gmail.com. I should know the IP address of 70s.com. Email server, because I'm sending a mail, I want a mail server IP address. 70s mail server IP address, not web server 70s.com. Not a www.70s.com. I want a mail.70s.com. Mail server related IP address are required. I do not have. So what will happen? Our system send a request to DNS server. DNS server returns an IP address of that device or a server's IP address to my system. Now I can able to communicate with an IP address. In our olden days, when we are typing anything like a google.com, yahoo.com, at the bottom of the browser, it shows the IP address. So there it is very clear cut, easy explanation. Now it is not showing anything. Okay. Guys, understand this part of concept, how DNS we are using. What is the purpose of DNS server? Basic purpose of DNS server.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Very good. So there is always an example. Nowadays, it is become a standard example. So these are the This is the standard example, means the relevance example. Okay.
Sir, what is subdomain?
Subdomain. I will definitely tell. Okay. Okay. So let me continue. Subdomain, right? Definitely I will tell. I'll write somewhere. Okay, okay. I will tell, but this is first we'll continue part. Okay, guys, here is a simple example to understand DNS. Actually, DNS is pretty straightforward. In some people ask, can you compare DNS server with a mobile phone contact list? Or give an example based on a mobile phone contact list. So what happened here, it is, okay. So, in our olden days, what we will do, so we have a telephone numbers, either you have to remember, I have to write a telephone diary. Okay, I have to write a telephone diary. That's still my grandmother is using a small booklet to write their phone numbers. Even sometimes my mom also used to write the phone numbers on it. Even when I was now I'm not writing something, but it is better write take small telephone book, write some important phone numbers on it, because what happened nowadays, you cannot able to remember all the phone numbers, not all, even some. Earlier at least I can able to remember 10 phone numbers. Now it is difficult. Okay, only two three from very rarely, like the last 20 years we have a phone numbers continuously, last 10-15 years same phone numbers. That is I can able to remember. I can remember my one number. I have two phone numbers. Second number I can't able to recollect it. Okay, like that. It's become very difficult now. Okay, the thing is simple, guys. In your mobile you have a contact list is there, right? You create a contact list, name and phone number, right? For example, I create a contact list. Amit's phone number. Okay. Sandeep, Kaur phone number. Neeraj phone number. Okay. Akash phone number. Vaibhav phone number. Deepak phone number. Okay. So Aman phone number. I have put it in my mobile phone. Okay. Now, for example, I want to make a call to Aman, or maybe Amit, or maybe Akash, I want to call. So what I will do, open the contact list, open the contact list, search for the name, click on the name and dial. That's it, right? What is a contact list? Contact list contains name and phone number. In case you are working in a different organization wise, like I worked in different organizations, I'll store some of student numbers like this, like a 70 student and name, and then 70s, this it's a student ST and then a name. Vedic Soft student name, CMS student name, and even branches batch wise, like a CTS batch or a HCL batch. Like sometimes I will put in a batch wise also. Batch number 6, batch number 5, batch number 2. Okay, because I want to make it more accurate, because sometimes same names are repeated, like Amit, Aman. These are some names are so many times it will repeat it. So I'll make it more unique. Okay, so for understanding. Okay, so simple point is you have a name and phone number in your mobile phone contact list. You want to make a call, open the contact list, choose the name, dial, right? But actually, your telecom department understand the names. Is it a call is connected with a name or phone number? Yes, it connect with a phone number only. Why not with a name? Because there is so many names and there is not so many things are there. So actual connection is with a phone number only. The name is for our understanding, easy purpose. You cannot remember all the phone numbers. You cannot put only phone numbers in the contact list. So name is make you too easy to understand. The same way in this world, lot of servers with a different types of services, web related services, mail related services, this online meeting services like a Teams, Google Meet, okay, services. A lot of services are there. Payment related services, Paytm, e-commerce related services. So a lot of services are happening, but mostly we are using with the names only. We cannot remember all the numbers. We cannot write all the numbers in the site. All we are communicating with the names only. So what happened? Okay. So this DNS servers will helps us to get an IP address of those servers under a domain. So those servers IP address, we can able to get it from the DNS server. Once we got an IP address, we will communicate to the server with an IP address only. Whatever the request we are sending, we'll be able to get a response from it. Okay. So that is the main point of an example. Okay. So here it is, same. I don't know IP address of whatever the thing I'm communicating. Maybe it is team.microsoft.com or learn.microsoft.com or www.youtube.com, studio.youtube.com, devocs.google.com, www.facebook.com. I don't know the IP address. Our system send a request to the DNS server. DNS server returns. DNS server returns an IP address of that host or a server's IP address to our PC. Our PC knows IP address. Our system knows IP address. Then we can communicate with an IP address. So then I will send an HTTP request to www.youtube.com, okay, with an IP address. Okay, this I will communicate this way. Okay, guys, this is about simple form of DNS server. Okay, DNS server returns an IP address of host. Okay, DNS server maps name to IP address under a domain name to IP address point. If you want to communicate to a host or a server or a device in the network with a name, but we should communicate with an IP address. And our DNS server will take your request and see there. If you give a name, it will give IP address to you of that system. Okay. And I have given some example. It is ping www.google.com. So it will first find google.com IP address. Then we will communicate with the google.com. Now we are getting return from the IP address only, not from google.com also. Google.com's IP address, not google.com, www.google.com. Okay. I've written something like this, guys. What is FQDN? FQDN means fully qualified domain name. It is a combination of host name and domain name. Okay. For example, contoso.com is my domain name and my server name is server1 and my FQDN is server1.contoso.com. Server1.contoso.com. Okay. So NetBIOS name means either your computer name or this kind of stuff is there. So don't worry all these things. Okay. Only look at this point is also may be useful in future. Okay. Fully qualified domain name. Okay. So like a docs.google.com, FQDN it is because it contains host name and domain name. Okay. What is this picture? I will explain that. Guys, understand up to here?
Yes, sir.
Very good. So DNS is pretty straightforward type, means simply if you open a browser and access that itself, will explain. We are communicating with a name, but we need an IP address who will give the DNS server. But reality, in the real time, how we are getting IP address. That's what I'm trying to explain, guys. Okay. The next thing is, I said we're getting from the DNS server, but our DNS server, what I showed the DNS server, actually does not contain any records. It does not contain any records. The process is same. The thing is same, but little different. This is my PC. Okay. Then here I put a something, for example, devocs.google.com. This is our document server. So I want to access my documents, Google Documents, that is devocs.google.com. Then I don't have an IP address, right? So what will happen? The first thing is happen in our system. If I'm already open, yesterday open, today open, what happened? In the browser, in the cache, this google.com, devocs.google.coms, sorry, okay, from yesterday it is giving a lot of irritation throughout. Okay, so inside your cache memory, okay, inside your cache memory, it stores information about that part. Okay, so devocs.com, if already I have I already searched earlier, I communicated to devocs.google.com, because so then automatically I got an IP address of it. So it will be in the my cache memory, in the DNS cache, it is there. Okay, so it may fetch from it. It may fetch from your system cache. If it is not there, there is a file called etc slash. There is a file called host file. It is a static name IP records. Static record it is. It is inside your PC, depends upon your PC. If you are using Linux, slash etc slash host. If you are using Windows, it is C slash Windows slash system 32 slash drivers slash etc slash host. Okay. Okay. This is the host file. This is a host file, which is a static records are there. So first it is check in your cache. If it is not fine, then it will try to check in the under the host file. 2 points. Okay. So that's it. So we'll go for the actual process. If it is not found in both the things, what will happen? Our system send a request to the our local DNS server. So I want a docs.google.com IP address. What is an IP address of docs.google.com IP address? It send a request to the local DNS server. Already I showed what is my DNS server. It is our local DNS server. It can be your router. It can be your router also local DNS server. If you check in your IP configuration, your default gateway, DHCP server, DNS server, all are showing same. It means your router is your DNS server. But really, in that local DNS server, do not have any records. Okay. So, but it will give IP address to you, but how it is happen, I'm explaining one by one. Okay. First, it will send a request to the local DNS server. And this local DNS server, what it will do, it send a request to the forwarder. There is another DNS server name called a forwarder. Okay, which is maintained by ISP. ISP having this forwarder. What is this forwarder contains? Root hints. Hints. The forwarder contains root hints. What is root hints? Okay, what is root hints? Okay, so there is a 13 root DNS servers in the world. Globally, 13 root DNS servers are there. Okay. Okay. Root hints means IP addresses of root DNS server. Root DNS server. Root DNS servers has records of top level domains. Records of top level domains. Okay. Any one point, at least one point you understand? Do you understand this point? So I try to access docs.google.com. Search in the cache. If not found, search in the host file. If it is not found, send a request to the our local DNS server. It is mostly our Wi-Fi router only, right? Ask for the IP address. Of course, this local DNS server does not contain any records. So what it will do? It forward the request to the forwarder, which is at ISP only, because it's a very big server. Like that. Maybe in an organization wise also root hints we can able to maintain. It is any DNS server having root hints. Basic root hint, 13 DNS servers only. Okay. Up to here you understand it is forwarding to the forwarder and the stuff.
Yes, sir.
Sorry. We have to redo. I okay. So what this is, what is our local DNS server is asking? I want an IP address of docs.google.com to the forwarder. This forwarder contains root hints. In this world, there is a 13 root hint servers are there. These are nothing but a servers only, DNS servers only. But this DNS server contains information of top level domains. And these server names are like this: A server, B server, C server, D server, E server, okay, F server, G server, H server, I server, J server, like that. Totally 13 servers are there. Each server name is A One server name is A, another server is B. In the globally, it is there. Okay. So what it is contains, it is contain top level means .com server IP address, .org IP address, okay, .net server IP address. Like all these things are available in all the servers, which is near to us, will communicate. Okay. It depends upon ISP, which is the nearest root server, it will communicate it to it. Okay. So what is this forwarder is doing is it asks this root DNS server, I want an IP address of .com. I want an IP address of .com. Okay. I want an IP address of .com. .com is a server. Okay. .net is another server. .org is another server. Okay. Different top level domains are there. When you are purchasing a domain name, okay, I want to buy domain name, purchase. You can go to GoDaddy, something atom.com is came up now, namecheap.com, hostinger.in, like this, big rocks kind of stuff. Okay, you take anything, these are a third party registered. Okay, I want to buy, so Latif, technology, then it will give a suggestion. See, latiftechnology.com, Latif online, latif.org, latiftechnology.net, .in, .online, .co.in, .rg, .info, .store, .technology, .tech, .life, .digital, .network, .link, .me, .in. So what is this kind of stuff? All top level domains. Okay, I want to get a .com, so I have to pay 69 rupees for first year, and next year onwards I have to pay like this. With the 3 years registration per year, first year only, remaining is which is chargeable. And this is not first, it's like it is showing 99 rupees if I go for online. .org. .net is cost is showing 1 year cost. .in is again lesser. Okay, so this is the top level domains. These are all the top level domains. Okay, these are all different top level domain, guys. So it's a .com server, it is a .net server, .org server, like that. So we have a different server, and these server addresses we have to find it. IP address of .com, IP address of .net is in our root DNS server. Online, okay. Anything, we'll put it. So what is this? This is our root DNS server. It can be A or it can be B or it can be C. Okay, it depends. What is this forwarder is asking .com from the root DNS server. And this is returns the IP address of .com. Okay, .com server IP address. This server IP address. Now the forwarder go to the .com server, ask for a google.com IP address. This domains DNS server of name server of google.com IP address. Okay. Google.com's IP address. So what is this .com server contains? Google.com IP address, Facebook.com, IP address, maybe w3schools.com, just for example, IP address, Microsoft.com, IP address like this, their DNS servers, their servers IP address. Now what I asked, I want a google.com IP address to the .com server, and .com server returns IP address of google.com. Okay, so here it is, and it is try to reach this google.com. Now forwarder, now try to reach google.com server and ask, I want an IP address of devs.google.com IP address. Okay, so what is this google.com? In their DNS, it has records like this www.google.com IP address. Okay, devs.google.com IP address. Okay, meet.google.com servers IP address. Okay, maybe a small one, mail.google.com IP. These servers IP address is in the google.com name server or DNS server, you can say. It returns to the forwarder IP address of this docs.google.com IP address. Now forwarder knows Google docs.google.com IP address. Then it returns to the local DNS server. This is the IP address of docs.google.com IP address. And this local DNS server, again, it is sent to our system. This is the IP address of docs.google.com IP address. Now we know the IP address of docs.google.com IP address. In somewhere in this world, again, that server will be there, right? So there is a server, this docs.google.com server. Now I want to connect. I can directly send request with an IP address. Yes, I want this particular page in the google.com. So with an IP address, I'll send this particular request for a page to the docs.google.com and returns that page. Okay, so in the internet, guys, this is how it is happens. Okay, this is how it is happen in our with internet. Original story is like this. And someone asked me, so what is the subdomain? What is the subdomain? So I will try for that one also. Here it is. What is the subdomain? For example, I have a records layer like this. Console.com. I have records like a C1 IP address, C2 IP address. So it is comes like this. C1.console.com. This is FQDNS c2.console.com is like that. But for example, I want to divide this host based on the area or based on service kind of stuff. I'll create a subdomains under it. For example, I'll create Noida is a subdomain. Under Noida, I create this one under contoso.com only. Then I create some host here, H1. And H1 is just one host and IP address is there. You know how the FQDN will come? H1 dot Noida dot Contoso.com. Okay. This is a subdomain. Subdomain means actual domain. Under that one, within that name server only, we are creating a separate a logical separation based on the the geographical site, or maybe based on the service. Like for example, sales department is there. So for example, sales department under Noida, there is a sales department is there. Okay. And under sales department, I have some sales server is there. S1 is there. Okay. So, S1 dot sales is a subdomain and Noida another subdomain, and main domain is Contoso, second level domain, and .com is a top level domain. The .com is top level domain, Contoso is second level domain, Noida is a subdomain, sales is a also subdomain, S1 is a their host or a server or a device, you can say. Okay. Understand, guys? Somewhat?
Yes.
Okay. So don't worry about entire story, guys. If you understand, that is good. Why? Because of the story is not available any resource. That's what I'm trying to say. And very important is what is a DNS server? Okay. What DNS server contains? It is contains a records to resolve its maps with the name and IP addresses of a device under a domain or subdomain. Okay. So whenever we request an IP address of a specific host in the domain, we'll get an IP address. We'll get an IP address. An example for a DNS server with respect to the mobile phone contact list, we all already understand. You take a mobile phone contact list, name and phone number. You open the contact list, you dial to the name, but actually call goes for the IP address only. All I phone number only. An important one is all communications by IP address. When you are trying to communicate to a remote host, a remote device, a remote some what we can say a system or a server or a service with a name, but we have to communicate with an IP address. So the request from our device, the request will send to DNS server. DNS server will find an IP address and return the IP address to your device, the IP address of that system. You can give an example. If I open docs.google.com or www.youtube.com or maybe facebook.com. Okay. So if I open in my browser or maybe if I'm open in a mobile phone, so the request will send to the DNS server to find an IP address of this particular server. Okay. And the DNS server returns an IP address of that device or a host or a server. So we can able to communicate with an IP address to it. Okay. So that is important. And you can give, so how you find an IP address of some remote device, a ping, and give the complete address www.google.com. Then you will find an IP address. It will be like that because nothing is found out about a google.com. Okay. And if you understand what is FQDN, that is a good thing. If you understand this one, keep it in mind that one. Okay, there is a lot of things out there. Yeah, that's about your DNS. Okay, that's it. The next one is I want to talk about an Outlook. Okay, So we'll discuss about Outlook. Once completed, we'll see the any other kind of stuff. And there is a Office 365, and there is a VPN is also there. I think I didn't open. So no problem. At least to list few things we are going to discuss, because these are all most common questions, and as well as you must know how to work with it. Okay. Yeah, take a break, guys. Take a 10 minutes of break. Come back at 11:40.